Welcome back to the CEO Mastery Show, and here is your weekly dose of the ultimate sales machine. With the information posted on social media today, it's very easy to give a gift to your dream buyer that is tailored specifically to their likes and needs. By studying them, you may find a book about their hometown, a hat from the college they attended, an item from their favorite celebrity or sports star. Here are a couple of creative ideas that our clients have used to create more specialized gifts. Leatherbookmarks.com, made with a handmade leather bookmark. Put your client's face on socks. MyFaceSocks.com. Dennis, you sent me a pair of those and I have kept them forever. You can't throw it away. And every time you open your sock drawer, you're just staring at these really strange socks with your face on it. It's hilarious.
Here is your daily dose of the Ultimate Sales Machine coming to you from the new edition. Visit ultimatesalesmachine.com to get your copy or multiple copies. I am your host, Amanda Holmes, CEO of Chet Holmes International. What you're about to learn has assisted 250,000 businesses to generate billions of dollars, working faster, better, smarter.
Take a picture they cherish and have a sketch made of it, which actually happened to me. So funny that we put this in the book. My client Motila Oswal, they had a painting made of me and my father, which was it made me cry. They presented it to me while I was in India. Or if you don't have an artist to hand paint it, you could also get a caricature done. There's free apps that can do that. Yes, many different options for getting your dream client. I think my father would have been so thrilled to see how Dream 100 has evolved over the years, right? Dream 100 is the fastest, least expensive way to double sales. It's the one strategy that has doubled the sales for more companies than any other. Just for those that are unfamiliar, at its basic core, there's always a smaller number of better buyers than there are all buyers. That means that marketing and selling to them is cheaper than marketing and selling to all buyers. So in essence, you could have a dream 10 or a target 12 instead of a full dream 100. But if you're deciding to get hyper focused on just those few and you want to be in their face, in their place, in their space, right? You are everywhere to them. So they look around and they go, I could work with nobody else because this company is everywhere to me. That is the power of what Dream 100 is today versus, just a spray and pray model where you just send it out to everyone and hope you get some back. You can get so hyper personalized today because of what we see online. I'll give you an example of this. So, Russell Brunson is a really well-known entrepreneur. He has a couple million people that follow him, businesses that follow him. ClickFunnels went from 0 to 100 million in 4 years. And he took Dream 100 and that helped him get to that 100 million. And he's continued to share it in all of his books. And it's been a blessing to see him carry on my father's legacy like that. So, of course, when I'm thinking about how to send a gift to the gentleman who has carried on Dream 100, right? How do you Dream 100, a Dream 100 expert from the Dream 100's originator's daughter? I mean, there was a lot of Dream 100s there, right? So the pressure was on the line. I really had to do something cool. And I'll bring it back to a point in just a moment. So I was talking with Russell and I told him about this manuscript that my father had written, and my father said that it was the best book that he'd ever written. And it wasn't The Ultimate Sales Machine. It's this other script or book. So he wrote this book and he considered it to be the best he'd ever written, but it is, how do I word this? Promiscuous? Rated PG-13, possibly rated R. Like there's a gray area there. And I was telling Russell about my predicament where I was feeling like, this is something that is really great, but it's not something that I would release to the world. He didn't release it to the world. I think also because maybe there was some questionable stuff that he put in there. And I told Russell about it. And I was like, what do you think? Do you think I should put it out? I mean, it's kind of questionable. I mean, the title is The Sex and Sales Adventures of Clifford Hawes, just to give you an idea of where this might go. So, I mentioned it to Russell and I was like, what do you think? And he's like, well, I could read it if you'd like. And he was just so excited, right? Because it tells the story basically of my father's living in New York City and inventing the Dream 100 concept. So it's just so entertaining, and he wanted to create it into a whole TV show. And um so Russell asks, so, I'd meant to read it. I'm like, oh, you sure? Okay, great. So I ended up making a book. I went to a printer and asked them to make the book to send just to Russell. I made, I think, two copies, one for me, one for Russell, and I sent it over to him. It cost me $3 to make that book. And it, like, still to this day, years later, he had told me, like, you gave me the ultimate gift. Like, I can't even believe I got the manuscript and and I'm like, yeah, nobody will ever see that manuscript. So you actually have the only manuscript of the originator of Dream 100. How cool is that? And it just so happens that Russell is like, um, he has a love of books. I think it's like bib, it's bibliomaniac, biblio, blah, blah, blah. I forgot what the word is when you're obsessed with books. He's obsessed with books. So it was the perfect gift to give him. So the point that I'm trying to make um, is gifts don't have to be expensive. And I know that there's a lot of offshoots that have happened from the Dream 100 where, people will buy very expensive gifts as well. And there is a place for that. The point that my father was trying to make with Dream 100 and gifting was to set yourself apart from all the competition that's just, maybe sending a direct mail piece that's just some letter that, majority of them get thrown out. You have it be lumpy. It has to be something that stops them in their tracks long enough to say, what is this? And they read it and they go, that's entertaining, right? Or the gift is something that stops them in their tracks and goes, oh, wow, that was thoughtful. So if you have a target 12 or, you have three in my latest Dream 100, I just had three companies that was who I was focusing on. And to just know that it's three, you can get really specific on what their needs are, what their likes are. You analyze and watch them online because we're posting everything about ourselves online. So it's so much fodder to be able to create something that stops them in their tracks long enough to get them to have that appointment with you, to continue to be a client, right? Russell, that was my first Dream 100 gift I sent him. And he loved it. And he ended up, so he bought 650 books to send to all of his best clients, his clients that have made over 1 million in using his software. Then when the book came out, he bought another 1,000 copies to send again to all of his clients. And to thank him for that, I took, there was a chapter, there was a letter that I found where my father said that he generated more wealth in 6 months than the prior 8 years combined. And it was all because of this one thing. And I found this letter and I went, oh my God, I have to put this into the new edition of the book. So I took my just pieces of that letter, but mostly wrote about my experience and how it interwove with what my father had found in the final chapter of the new edition in chapter 13. But the actual letter we ended up taking and we made it into a book. And we printed just about, I think, 100 copies of it. And I sent it to Russell saying, you know, because he's very open about his faith and he's very, uh, he shares a lot about him being a Mormon. And I think that that's very inspiring for others that maybe wouldn't feel as comfortable about talking about, their faith or their religion. So this letter very much reads like a prayer or a meditation. And I probably wouldn't have put it out if it weren't for trying to find a Dream 100 gift for Russell, who, has plenty of money. It's not like he needs to buy anything. What he cares, but you have to find what that person cares about, right? Something that would make them stop and say, wow, that's really cool. So I made it put into a book. And then I also let him know that another 100 or so businesses would be able to get the same gift of that prayer because of the inspiration that he had on me for the way that he lives his life. Right? Aw. So all I'm trying to say, and again, these cost under $1. So it's not like it needs to cost a lot of money. The point is to be smart and to think what would make them interesting, are interested enough to want to talk to you more, want to work with you more, want to refer you business. That is the key of the Dream 100 gifting.
Make sure to get your copy or copies at theultimatesalesmachine.com. There's a lot of special bonuses that you can't get going to Amazon, so make sure you check it out at ultimatesalesmachine.com.